Welcome to the X Podcast. It's so good to have you here with us today for episode 34. And we have some special guests around today. Kind of a different setup if you're watching on YouTube. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. Everyone looked at me to answer.
This is the creative team at X Church. For those of you that don't come to our church, we have a whole team that kind of produces all of the content that we put out. And these are some of the most skilled and talented people that I know. So we have a couple people missing, but we're going to go around with the people we do have here today. And we're just going to first introduce ourselves. So first over here we have...
Hey, I'm Jay Bowser. I am the production director here at the X.
I am the Tucker Johnson. Just kidding. Tucker Johnson.
What's your nickname?
At Tuck Johnson on Instagram. And I am the worship social media director.
And can you show us your bottom lip, please? Just do it.
No,
Just
are
do
you
it.
kidding
Yeah,
me?
I know, I'm not joking.
Okay, this is
I
my...
wish we can zoom.
No, make sure you can see it on the camera.
What camera? Right here?
There we go.
This is my lip tattoo.
Former life.
I was a SoundCloud rapper in college.
Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Hannah Kelly, graphic designer. And what's your other question?
Soon to be married, Hannah Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Forgot my
Next
ring.
up.
Don't look at my hand.
I'm Maria McCarthy, and I'm the project manager for the creative team as well as sound engineer on the weekend.
Maria, it's so good to have you guys here today. We're going to have some fun. I think it'd be cool for our audience to see what it's like to work on a creative team. I am probably the least creative
Yep.
person
I was kidding.
on the team,
I didn't
but
say
that's
it.
cool. Just a couple people to mention. We got Brandon Wedge, who does all of our lighting, and he's our animator here on staff, and he's just a fantastic artist and just fun to be around and work with, and the way his mind works is incredible. And then we have Lydia Redznak, who's our intern, who's back there switching the camera. She's just awesome. She does a lot of work on producing our podcast and our messages, and she's just been a huge blessing to the team. But we thought that maybe we could first, just to introduce everybody a little bit more, maybe do some high school superlatives.
Yeah.
Tucker might lead us through that T1 money.
I will. T1 money will. Did everybody get a high school senior superlative? Did you, Maria?
No.
You didn't?
My
Did you, Jay?
no.
What did you get?
I was voted most likely to be late to graduation.
All right, well, let's go through them.
All right.
Tucker has some pulled up.
Here we go. Most likely to become president. I feel like Kevin.
Yeah, probably.
Say it loud
yeah,
in
he
the
loves
microphone.
politics.
I feel like
yeah.
Kevin.
Okay. I agree.
Most
Also, we didn't give a shout out to Trey.
I was
Oh.
gonna
About to
say.
say,
I know
Trey's in
it'd be
Texas.
awkward to be
Texas
like,
Trey.
well, okay. He's on
Yeah,
vacation.
Trey, we miss you. We love you. Trey is our fearless leader on the creative and worship and production team, and we can't wait to see
all
you
fired.
back from Texas. Anyway,
All right. Most likely to cure the common cold.
Jay.
Oh.
I feel like Maria.
Being a mom has made me quite the medical expert.
okay, we'll go with Maria because you do talk about medical things a lot.
Yeah.
Most outspoken.
Tucker.
Tucker.
Not
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
me all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah, always.
It could be Jay.
No.
Jay's also very
Well,
outspoken.
And
Jay is
inappropriate
outspoken.
moments.
Yes. Jay does have his moments of like, oh, he said it. Okay.
Best car. Who has the best car?
I went from the best car to the worst car.
Your new car is nice.
Yeah, your new
I
car
would say
probably.
me.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
A Nissan, you
I
know.
like Lydia.
Kevin drives the van, so.
Let's see.
I drive a minivan.
Life of
I'm
the
out.
party. Jay.
Today
You
he
can't
was.
say Jay for all of them.
Today he was doing flips and whatnot.
Tucker's trying to be Jay's friend. Next one.
Most likely to win the lottery and lose the ticket.
Hannah.
Hannah.
For sure,
Yeah,
Definitely.
Hannah with her 50 drawers of paper.
that's true.
Yeah, I could say that.
Most likely to be late to graduation. This is the one that you won, but I think that Kevin takes the cake on that
I'm
one.
late
Yeah.
all the time.
Me too.
Always late.
Most likely to be your boss.
other than our
Maria.
boss that's not here.
Yeah.
Maria, the project manager.
Maria's
I'm
the
way
mom.
more bossy.
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Trey.
Charge.
Trey is the boss, but I am bossier.
Most
Not a good
likely
way.
to be famous.
Oh, you.
T1 money.
Yeah.
Me
T1
and my
money.
SoundCloud career.
Listen, I think that I think we have the most fun team in the entire world. We have a blast up there, and you guys are like super humble, and you never say it. But what you guys produced and all the people that aren't here, it's just nothing short of incredible. The graphics and the social posts and the original worship songs and the experience that we put on every single weekend. How you guys work with ministry teams to execute like how we actually do church and help people meet Jesus. It's really it's super technical. The skill that you have to possess to do what you guys do, and all the different programs and the Photoshops and the Logics and the I'm just naming things I don't know.
The Logic.
The,
The Logics
MIDI,
and the apples
the
and
MIDI
the cuter.
cues and
Computers.
whatever
mice and the
and
keyboards.
Illustrator and videos.
The A key.
Yeah.
and the B key.
The key of G. But seriously, it's super technical what you guys have done, and I think it's cool because a lot of you came onto the team maybe as somebody who had never done this type of thing before or had limited experience. So why don't we kind of start? We'll start with you, Maria, and we'll work back around the circle. I want you guys to just describe to our audience how this became a passion of yours, and maybe how you ended up on like a creative team, because it's not like a traditional path to be on a church creative team. And what I think that'll do is, I hope for you in the audience to give you maybe just some encouragement as to, you don't have to be like some genius to work these programs and systems, or to even just try something new. That all you have to have is a little bit of courage, and that's what all these people have done to step into ministry. So Maria, why don't you just describe how you started at X Church and how you got on the team?
Yeah. So I didn't go to church here. I grew up in a different church, but I had a passion for music and everything there. And my dad actually came to our church on a Saturday night, and he came home and said, "You have to come check out this church. It's so cool." And I said, okay. So at the time they had multiple services, so I would come to one, and then I would go to my other church on the second service, until eventually I really wanted to learn audio. And so I started shadowing, and I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Learned more and more, and then eventually kind of got to where I was running on my own, and then we
Just
launched.
shadowing audio stuff.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
the audio board or.
Yeah. And then we launched our campus at the YMCA, and we needed somebody down there full time. And I was 21 years old and didn't have kids or anything, and I had a lot of free time. And so I got hired on there as just every weekend I would run sound, and then I was an intern during the week, and learned video stuff, more audio stuff for video, and just kind of learned things that way. And that was, gosh, almost 10 years ago.
So you've been on staff for 10 years.
Almost, yeah.
Wow.
Maria's really
You're an
old.
OG.
I am very.
A fun story, when I started coming to our church, Maria was like the first one to see me and be like, you come and learn this. And so she was training me on audio stuff and soundboard thing before anybody knew my name. And she grabbed me in the YMCA and showed me the ropes. And she's awesome because she has that teacher spirit.
Yeah.
And she is like the boss that knows a little bit about everything. And so it's been cool to learn from you. So she's our
Didn't she like teach you how to run sound, and you were like trying to figure it out because Maria had stepped away?
Well,
and she came back.
this is a funny
That
story.
is a funny story.
We were like, I had been working with her for a couple of weeks, and then we had rehearsals at that time, worship band rehearsals on Thursday nights. And so I came, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go. I gotta do whatever you had to do. You had to go pee or something. And you're like, oh, just get it started. And so I was like, how hard can that be? Like, you just got everybody hooked up and ready to go. And so the band starts playing, all right, we're going to run song 1. So they start running song 1, and they start playing, and you couldn't hear anything in the room, like nothing. Like you couldn't. They're just looking at each other, and the band can hear themselves in their in-ear monitors, so they were fine. But I'm out in the auditorium pushing faders, like, oh my God, I can't hear them at all. I broke the whole sound system, and I'm like, what do I do? And I have no idea. And Maria walks back, and she turns the main volume up.
That's the best.
That's all you have to know. So next up, we have Hannah.
Hey.
Tell us your story, Hannah.
It was kind of random, honestly. Went to school for graphic design, graduated bachelor's degree. And after that, I worked 2 jobs, Marshalls and Chase Bank. Just two different things. Saw a post on Facebook, actually, if anyone knew Photoshop and wanted to help out with Easter. And this was probably, I lose track of time, 7 years ago. And I've been attending this church for 12. Came in and pretty much never left. And then they just started paying me. So I've learned way more here than I would say in college.
Wow.
Honestly, it's just just an amazing gift to
It's
be
really
here.
cool.
Yeah.
Very short, simple, and
Yeah, you've been on staff for a long time, and you are really technically amazing, like at what you do.
Mhm.
And you have like as far as understanding how to execute graphic design,
Mhm.
it's like if you're around Hannah for 2 seconds, I'm like, how do I change the color? And she teaches you all these
I try.
shortcuts. You're
Yeah.
really good at what you do.
oh, thank you.
So
I'm always
Tucker, your
learning.
turn.
I started working here a little over a year ago, but I've been singing for forever, like since I was little. I think on the last podcast I talked about like when I was 4, like grabbing the mic at my old church, and been singing forever, and jumped into an internship at a different church my freshman year of college, and they needed somebody to like help make graphics, and I knew like nothing, had never made a graphic, had never done anything like that. And loved it, and I was horrible at it, but I loved it. It was really fun. And then I started interning here my junior year of college, and just helped out with social media and didn't know like anything technical at all,
Yeah.
and made everything on my phone, and somehow got offered a job here and started working here. But yeah, started on my phone.
And we went to high school together.
We did go to high school together.
Do you have any funny stories of us and
I do remember
school?
me and Kevin had a choir class together.
Yeah.
That was where like we all hung out, and he would like let his friend out of the back choir door, and they would run and get Tim Hortons, and then he would let him back in at the end of class and just load up like bagels for everybody and
I'm
iced
tossing-
cappuccinos.
I'm tossing McMuffins out to everybody.
Jeez, where's that with our team?
Yeah.
You go to Tim Hortons every day, and I don't see a bagel in my
Easy,
hand.
easy. Let's keep it professional. We don't need to tell everybody everything. Joseph?
I'm the new guy here, new guy on the team. I started just in February. I was on actually staff at another church for 7 years on the creative team, doing video, and applied. Well, I sent my resume out to a good friend of mine who sent it over to Pastor Tim, and he said, we're not interested in anyone for video, and passed my resume along. Is the way it's been told to me. I wasn't here for that, but rumor has it Pastor Kevin got my resume and said, hey, we actually might have a spot for this guy, even if it's not exactly what he's been doing in the past. And so I got hired as the production director, and which is something I had never done professionally, but had served in production for years.
Yeah.
And do a little bit of video still, and a lot of production.
Yeah. And the church you came from was?
Flex.
I was a lead videographer at Elevation Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. So.
Yes,
Who?
we love having you on the team, and just you guys are so much of what's so really amazing about this place. And what I thought would be cool to do to have you guys on this episode would be to really, and we talked about it a little bit in episode 5, Tucker, you and Pastor Trey, and I think it was Russ maybe who led that conversation, or Tim, and I think what is something that people are maybe getting back into post-quarantine, post-pandemic is, hey, how can I become more creative in my everyday life, you know? and in the monotony of the day-to-day and the 9 to 5, and we understand how important it is to maintain like a creative spirit in everything you do. You can be an accountant, you can be a stay-at-home mom, you can be a teacher, you can be a car salesman, and it's really important to foster creativity in your soul, because we believe that God made each and every one of us to be creative, because he's a creative God, that we're all created in his likeness. And look at just all the different types of people with all the different types of skill sets and all the things that the people that God has created have built and accomplished and done. And that's why we think that it's important to understand that we need to live life with a creative spirit. And so you guys get to do that on a more practical level every single day to serve the church, and every day for your jobs as well. And so I just have a couple questions I think it'd be cool to run through. This first one, what do you think is the most important attribute of a creative person?
I'd say that it's really hard to do much anything creative-wise if you're not teachable and willing to be humble and flexible and always be learning something new. I think the quickest way just to let your creativities totally run out is to think that you've learned everything and you know the best way to do something. But the people that I see who are always doing something new, who are always, being creative, are the people who are, willing to learn from anything, take inspiration from anywhere.
Do you have like an example of that maybe you've walked through?
I think even just as I have come onto this team and learning what, all these new things that I'm doing, knowing that like I don't know everything, and being able to not only, learn from the people who've been doing it for forever and trying to, talk and get inspiration from, people who are way down the road in this field than I am. But even like last night, we had a team night with some of our creative volunteers, and I think we took a ton of, or in our production volunteers, I think some of the things, like the biggest things we got out of it were some of the newer people on the team who were just like saying, hey, this is what I've seen. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's try that. That's a great idea. So
that's really cool. It's like maintaining that humble spirit.
Yeah.
Teachable spirit.
At first, I definitely struggled with that, especially if you're like, you put all your time and energy and you're confident in what you do, but maybe someone's like, well, let's go this direction. You're just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I've had to learn to take my identity out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that's
good.
That's really good.
That's not me. I'm trying to glorify God and not myself. So it's like I've definitely learned over the past 6 years to like we are a team. Like we all have an eye and we all want to be like we all want to create that thing that's precious to God, and it's just not about us. We have to remove ourselves from it, and it was definitely a struggle.
It's like your baby, like when you're
Yes.
creating.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does Brandon say?
Kill.
You got to kill your babies.
It's got to be okay to kill your baby.
Not really.
No.
What do you think, Maria?
I think too, just to kind of tack on, being innovative is huge. Taking something that is sometimes meant for something completely different and being creative with it. We do that a lot for big events like Christmas and stuff. We're always looking at, okay, what could we do with this? What could we do with that? And that's when you get some real cool creative stuff. You get stuff that not everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And because really, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get other people, with our creative department, we're trying to get the world's attention for Christ.
Right.
And so if we can do something that they've never seen before
Wow.
and just look at, oh, what's that? Then, I mean, God does the rest.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I think about like Christmas. She said our Christmas opener was like this crazy like LED wall driven, like we rewrote like an old hymn, and it was all inspired from like something at a Kendrick Lamar concert. And so it's like taking things like that would just, you would think would never fit into a church, and being like, how can we use that in something to get people to know Jesus?
Right.
But I think for me, my biggest thing is just like being consistent and like working really hard, because I feel like you could be the most creative and talented person in the world, but if you're not going to like do the work and show up and put out content or try things, then it all goes to waste.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage I think I'm like, Jay's new to our staff, but you've been doing creative work for a long time. As far as like being a part of the ideation and from start to finish, I'm probably the newest on the team at being a part of the processes you guys have been working through, and it takes a lot. That's been my biggest takeaway. It takes a lot of courage to be creative, and you're always doing something you've never done before, always when you're in a creative realm, and that's been a great takeaway for me personally, and it's gotten me to change my mindset about how I'm even living my day to day, and maybe this is a great question, Jay, you brought it up for our listeners, is like, what are you learning that you don't know anything about yet? Like like you could have worked the same job for 30, 40 years, but where are you putting yourself in a situation where you have to let somebody teach you something? And I just think that's an important thing. And any thoughts on the courage part?
Yeah, I think being uncomfortable is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I recently started like a journey through counseling, and one of the things my counselor said was like, when are you in situations where you're not in control of the outcome? And I was like, never. Because it's just comfortable, and like I won't go into a room, or like if I won't show up first to a party because I'm like, what will I say, or like how will I act? But even those little things I've noticed, like just being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go up and talk to that person, and I have no idea what they're gonna say, and I have no idea what kind of week they had. But it's just like intentionally putting yourself in those situations to where you have no idea what the outcome is, and you've lost complete control of like what could happen. Those kind of things stretch you. So then when the big things happen, when you're like presenting a big idea and you're like, we're going to do a Soulwork series, and I think we should look at these 80s workout videos, and I'm going to try to convince you that this is going to be really cool. Like, it makes those kind of things like feel like nothing because you're just already uncomfortable all the time.
Yeah, it's funny because we do fail all the time,
All the time.
You guys have an example of maybe sometime you tried something that just like did not work the way you thought?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
That's what Tucker brought up, that we did a series, and maybe if you don't go to our church, you can go back on our website. It's called Soulwork. And the first week, when we had these big plans leading up to it, we got a text from Pastor Tim saying, I got this. God's like, I got a message for me to preach. We're going to do like this 8-week series. And it was about the soul. And the series was awesome. And
So good.
But the whole intention of it was to kind of like this might be heavy, so let's do something light. And we were trying to do like a humorous video shoot where we put our staff in these like what was it like?
It wasn't a little video shoot.
It
We
was
had practice videos. We had a group message. We stretched.
I mean, it took
matching
this was
headbands.
weeks of planning, and the final product came out, and I think we traumatized our church a little bit. So I think you were visiting, Jay, that weekend.
It was my first weekend here. I had just moved to the area, and literally 2 days or the day before gotten in, drove the U-Haul in and walk in my first weekend.
And you see
And
all
I'm
of
like-
these church people
remembers
in
every
these way
move.
too tight clothes.
Way too small clothes,
Way too
doing
small.
these dances, and I'm just I mean, it lightened the mood.
Now, sometimes you can tell how the audience responds to you, and sometimes they're smiling or laughing or giggling, and it's not that hard to get people to laugh. People like to laugh, but that video, it was dead silent afterwards. What do you guys have to add?
I'm trying to think of others.
Like failures?
I know there's
Hannah's like, I've
definitely-
never done one, never had a failure.
Maria's like, I've never failed. I just tell people when they fail.
Well, no. I mean, so for me it's different because I don't do a lot of I guess I make some videos, but usually I'm kind of behind the scenes a little bit.
You're a little bit in every project.
These guys are the ones that are doing the stuff that's really going out there.
Poor Maria, though. Everyone thinks Maria fails when some of us fail, because if you're in church and something doesn't work, or like if I have my mic muted and I start talking, it's like everybody's head shoots back at
Yes.
Maria at the board. And Maria has no control if somebody's mic is muted.
Well,
But it's like everyone just looks back.
every time. And especially a lot of people don't realize that I'm running sound. They think that I'm doing all of the things. So if the lights don't come up, I also get looks. Or if the lyrics are wrong, I get looks. So yeah, I take the heat for everyone's failures.
Yep. Maybe we can transition to like, what about our team? Like, what attributes of like our team would resemble a healthy creative workspace? Because we have a lot of people listening who lead teams, and like we've mentioned a couple times already, like your space and your environment may not be like, we make graphics and we draw things and we animate video. That might not be what you do, but as far as I feel like this environment has to be extremely collaborative in order to work. So that's one thing that maybe I've witnessed from you guys. But what would you say are some of the most important attributes of a team that is creative?
I think for me, a huge thing that I've learned over the last few years is every single person, especially in our department, but I think this is the case everywhere, everyone is so different. How they respond to things is different. How they take criticism is different. So if you're leading a group of people, I mean, how I know I can say something to Hannah and she's going to take it one way, but how I say it to Tucker, he's not going to take it that way.
Yeah.
But so learning that and learning, okay, how do I say this in a way that this person's going to receive it correctly from me, and it's not going to hurt their feelings, it's not going to hurt their spirit, but it's going to get the point across.
Yeah.
And that's been really hard. It's definitely challenging, especially when you're dealing with things that somebody created and they want to wow you. They want it to be awesome, and you look at them and you're like, no, this isn't going to work.
It's like, that totally missed.
Yeah. And so telling somebody that it's a challenge, but the more you know about somebody, the more you know how to say it in a way they can receive it well.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, it's so easy to just have your tasks, sit at your computer, focus on you and what's in front of you. But I think what's been a challenge, and, some weeks are better than others, some days are better than others, is to get up from yours, see what other people are doing,
Wow.
give feedback in a loving way. Like, that's another thing is like you said, we have to learn to take criticism, and it's not about you or how you made that or your ability. It's about an overall thing that, like I said, we do this for the glory of God and to help people get on the path of God.
Right.
So you have to remove yourself from that. But yeah, it is a thing when you're focused on all these tasks you have to do, and on a tunnel vision on a time frame. But just to get up and help someone else, what can I take off your plate?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Are you struggling with something? Because I can even be like, well, everyone else is so busy and I'm struggling with this. I can't really. I don't want to bother someone. I'm just going to sit here and work on it for however long and struggle with it. But like, just to get up, talk to people, work as a team, like that's been for me like a learning thing.
I heard a message one time. It was called "Give Your Way Out," and I've mentioned it like 100 times on this podcast. But the whole idea of like, if you're struggling to come up with that next idea and that next thing, and you need someone to you need to see it, or you need that next inspiration. Like, I just love what you said. It's like, when I do that, like, I've learned to go help other people, and like, if I give myself to other things, then like, I'll receive that inspiration that I need. I think that's a beautiful concept.
I think that one of our strengths as a creative team and as a whole team overall is that we're very collaborative and not, sometimes obviously it's never perfect, but overall very much not siloed. I know it can be so easy just to become, this is what we work on, and as the creative team, or even smaller as Tucker, doing, this is what I'm doing. I'm just doing social media, not gonna touch anything else.
Right.
But just one great example I saw this week was we did a promo video shoot for a series here in July yesterday, and literally every single person on staff took an hour out of their day to come, stop
sweat
what they were
their butts
doing,
off.
go out, stand in the sun, and be a part of something bigger than just the one department. It wasn't people who were saying, "Oh no, that's not my job. I don't have time for that. I've got more important things to do." But I think that was that's one of our greatest strengths, and honestly, just been such a breath of fresh air. It's just like, we work together.
Right.
Where there's not just projects that are, only, Kevin's project
Right.
or only Hannah's project, but it's like, no, even today as I was pulled in a project from that Hannah had been working on, and I was asking her questions, and she's like, "Oh, Brandon did all that. I don't know what that part is." And I was like, "That's awesome. That it's just not you doing something, but it's all of us, adding our own little touches of what we're good at to make something
Yeah.
good as a whole."
I think that a lot of people would resonate with the fact that one of my observations is there's absolutely way more like things that need accomplished than there is manpower on this team.
Always.
And even resources.
Mhm.
Like, we don't operate on this huge creative budget to go and, if we need a camera, if we need a piece of equipment, or if we, that's where it goes back to that innovation thing you were talking about, Maria, of what innovation starts when your resources run out, and whether that's people resources or your time resources or your financial resources. And this team, you guys do what you do. I mean, we do what we do because of our, it's one of our values as a team, but I see that play out. And it's, I don't know, I think that it's really cool to see, but like you guys were all kind of mentioning that whole idea of collaboration and that whole idea of leveraging everybody's strengths. And so maybe I was wondering if you guys could give an example of, hey, I needed this. I needed an idea when it came to this, and I knew this was their strength, and so I went over and did that. Does anything come to mind with you guys?
One idea that comes to mind is me and Hannah's jobs overlap a lot, just because I'm always designing stuff for like social media or sometimes like different things. They just all overlap. And my design style as a designer is very masculine, rough, tough. And I saw in my base camp that I was assigned Mother's Day branding, which is like flowery and girly and happy. And I was like, I think I looked at Jay and I was like, I don't know how to make anything like girly and happy. So I look at Hannah, I'm like, hey Hannah, have you seen any girly cute graphics lately? And she's like, maybe. But just realizing like I am not a girly cute pink designer, but Hannah,
I like the color of your shirt.
oh yeah, I am wearing a purple shirt
so
today.
purple.
But just that kind of stuff, like we all have our own different
And
styles and
necklaces.
different things we're good at, and so when something gets thrown my way that I'm like, I have no idea how to do this, it's just like picking Hannah's brain or yeah.
I think it has to do with merch, though. We're all involved in merch, but it's like,
Like T-shirts and hats.
yeah,
and
like
clothing.
at first I kind of like took head over it, but then it's just like, this is not going to be based on me, that what everybody in the church would wear. Like, I don't
Right.
care to be that person. Like, it's cool, and I've also had to learn that too, because like it's something I maybe once headed up and felt slightly confident about, but then like involving more people in it, I was just like, ooh, this is hard. But things have just been turning out incredible. I love where we're going with it, and especially Pastor Kevin and Tucker being involved in it. We've just come out with some really incredible
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I want to add to that. One thing I just thought of since he's not here, Pastor Trey, I'll talk about him. We do get a lot of opinions from, like you were saying, we're creating stuff that is supposed to somehow appeal to literally everyone.
Right.
And so you get a lot of people that are just, especially with merch or whatever, they say, oh, no, I don't like that. And some other people might love it or whatever. But what Pastor Trey's really good about is, he'll take everyone's feedback and then he'll still say, yeah, ignore all that. This is what we're doing.
Right.
And so it kind of gives you that little bit of confidence that you need. And I
Yeah.
think having a team does help, because you do hear a lot of negatives. So to have somebody that comes along and says, no, it's good.
And
This is what we're
everybody
doing."
in every sphere has criticism that they deal with. And so when you're creating anything, you're going to get some pushback, whether it's for church or for a
Yeah.
business or anything. Or you're going to get, so you can be the best teacher in the world, and there's going to be a parent that's going to be mad at you. And, and I just think that it's, this team deals with criticism well, I think, because of all the culture work that has been done, not just recently, but over the past couple of years. And so, like, I think that if maybe that's the most important work that you guys have done, and it comes out. You know, what's that saying? Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I'm sure that's it.
Something like that. But the whole
Sounds
idea of
Never heard that.
the whole idea
Say it.
of culture is the most powerful thing. Like, the culture on the team has improved so much,
Yeah.
even in the 6 years I've been here. And it's the last thing you want to think about because there's always stuff to do, but it's the first thing you feel when you walk into the room. And we still have long ways to go. You know, we talk all the time about how we need to grow in this area or that area, or, hey, you need to shut up when that happens, or, hey, that really hurt my feelings, or, like, that's totally inappropriate, or whatever.
Can you give an example?
Yes. But, you know, we're always working on it, but you guys have really taken it seriously, and it comes out in the work. You know, it comes out in the what we do in the collaboration. And so we're always working on, you know, our staff's not any different than any other staff. We're working on how we can work better with, you know, ministry team, and how we can work better with the people who come in, and how we can communicate better with the volunteers or the people we work with. And but describe just quickly, like, the culture, maybe, some things about our culture that would make us successful, and some things that you've maybe realized are important that you wouldn't have said before.
I think culture-wise, we've kind of hit this, but we really do work in a really high feedback environment. Like,
Yeah.
we are always getting, like, this is good, this is what I like about this is bad, this is what I don't like about this. It's just, like, in our every single day. Sometimes I don't even realize, like, I'm giving feedback when I'm telling, like, Jay about a video or Hannah about a graphic. Like, we just all are, like, very vocal about what we like and don't like. And I
Yeah.
think what's really important about that is killing your pride. I mean,
Wow.
that is something that I've had to work through, you know, because I come up out of college like a fresh 22-year-old who thinks they know everything about everything. And then you get told, like, oh, no, I don't like that. And you're like, what? Like, what do you mean you don't like it? And
But let me tell you why I did it.
Yeah.
but just if you walk in and if you create something with that spirit that Hannah was talking about, that, like, it's not about what Tucker makes. It's not like people aren't going to see a graphic or they're not going to see, you know, a worship moment and be like, Tucker did a really good job. Like, that's never anybody's first thought.
Right.
And that I never want that to be anybody's first thought. And that's, you get that when you kill your pride and you're
Yeah.
like, this is not about me. This is way bigger than me.
I think too, you know, we're not all going to be happy with each other every single day.
Right.
Someone might have a bad attitude, and that's totally human. That's totally normal. But it's just like, for me, if someone said something to me and I got upset with it, something I'm working on is to face that, but to not hold it in, because I could either go down a bad, like, spiral of, like, thinking negatively. And it's just like, I've learned to be more open. It's like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and I know this is wrong. So let's talk about it.
Right.
And I think even, like, calling people out based on their attitudes or whatever, it's like, once we learn how to do that, it's really that we love and care about each other.
Yeah.
If we can do that, like, I just think it changes everything, honestly.
Yeah.
If I'm just stuck in my own mind, I don't know, I think it's very toxic.
Yeah. Feedback. I think that's an interesting conversation too. And so I think that once you lose feedback, you kind of lose excellence in any environment. So once you start being too timid or too afraid to hold anybody to a standard of, hey, here's what we're trying to create, it's like, oh, that's fine. I just would rather not, you know, because feedback, it doesn't have to be conflict, but it is conflicting ideas, right? The idea of what we're trying to create and what you did create, or the idea of the business we're trying to build and what you're building, or, you know, feedback is a little bit of a confrontation or a correction. But if you do it in the right way, it is really loving.
Yep.
You know, it says in Scripture even that the Lord disciplines or gives feedback in the
Correction.
spiritual realm, correction to those he loves. And so, you know, with me and my son, it's like I give him feedback. Me and my daughter, I give her feedback because I really love her, and I have I want to raise them a certain way. And so maybe let's talk about our relationship with feedback as creative people, because, like you guys said, it's super prevalent.
I think when it does come to feedback, one of the biggest things to pay attention to is that there is the possibility of overcorrection, of trying to go for feedback just so that you can get your voice heard in a project, even if you weren't involved in it.
Right.
That's not actually serving the purpose of the church as a whole, or the project as a whole, or whatever we're creating as a whole. And just knowing that, like, feedback isn't just so that way we can change something, because sometimes things, might be actually in a better position than, the feedback could make them.
Right.
But it is really important to know the reason why you were trying to give feedback. What is the final goal of this? What are we trying to accomplish? And making sure the feedback is actually driving us in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Well,
I think a lot of it boils down to like trusting, like like trusting your boss, trusting your coworkers, trusting your vision, how you're seeing things. I can't even say it about like, being in a bad mood. Like there's times where I'll walk into work and I'll, be all hunched over, headphones on, quiet. And it's like, someone's like, are you in a bad mood? And then it's like, oh, I'm acting, it's just like, I trust you guys enough to speak into my life or speak into my work, even though Kevin doesn't know what Command J does on Photoshop.
Command J.
Do you know?
I still don't know what it is.
Even though Kevin doesn't know what Command J is on Photoshop, if he tells me this looks a little weird, it's like, I trust you enough to know that your vision, would align with what I'm making.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I
great.
can totally see
Yeah.
that.
Right.
that's good.
That's really good. I think that we can wrap this conversation up. I so appreciate your guys' hearts, and what I hope people hear is really just the family atmosphere that's been created over years and years and years of really just dealing with hard things. That's how you get like a I want to say intimacy, but everybody hopefully understands what I'm saying. But like a closeness when you work together with people, as Hannah puts her arm around Maria. No, not like that. But as you to really grow an appreciation and admiration for the people that you work along and beside. And because if especially like our context is so funny when you do church work, because we want people to feel loved the second they walk in the door. And guess what they see the second they walk in the door? They see the stuff that we make.
Yeah.
Or the stuff that our ministry team makes and the volunteers that we lead. And so the overflow of our team is what our quote unquote customer encounters when they walk in the door. And I think that that's something you guys live so well. But here's what I do know too, is that we're kind of in a generation where a lot of young people coming up, maybe millennials, maybe 30, 40-year-olds too, like the creative aspect of life in the world wasn't as much appreciated or like promoted when they were coming up into the workforce. And so I think I've had conversations with people actually since I've joined our creative team, and like, oh my gosh, I have always dreamed of being, like secretly dreamed of being on a creative team. That's the coolest thing in the world. People have ideas of making T-shirts, and people have ideas of writing songs, and you've all met those people that are like closet creatives, And so what would you say to the person who maybe like has always had that dream but doesn't feel adequate, doesn't feel equipped, doesn't feel like they know how, and maybe feels like it's too late? What would be your encouragement to that person?
Make the TikTok. No, but seriously, there's so many platforms and there's so many mediums and things that you can download on your phone, and places to be creative that my parents didn't have. There's different apps. There's so many ways that you can channel like you being creative every single day, to just take the step and do it.
Yeah, I think too, like kind of like what he was saying. I mean, what I've learned a lot from our team is just there are so many companies that will even help you achieve your dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, we design things, but we have it printed elsewhere and things like that. And in those types of companies, they will help you do things. So if you have an idea, there's always somebody out there that can help you accomplish it.
Yeah, and the cost of entry is lower than it ever has been, especially when it comes to, I think video-wise, my phone, that I got for free on a Black Friday deal, shoots better video than the ones in my college classes that I learned how to do video on.
Right.
Like, this will look way better than those little DX tape handy cams that we were, learning how to do.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that, and the cameras that were from the 1996 Atlanta Olympics that I learned how to do a broadcast on.
Yeah.
This will give me a better, quality than so many of those things. And that comes to music, that comes to graphic design, that comes to so many creative things that it's actually so easy to try, which can also sometimes be overwhelming, but just so easy.
And just like don't feel like let creativity flow in your everyday life. Like I have a team of a couple people that serve with social media, and the way I found them was because they take awesome pictures of their kids and they edit, these crazy cool pictures of their kids or of their house, and it's like, this is your everyday life. This isn't just like graphics for church. Like this can, influence your whole entire life. So don't just limit it to like, oh, I'm going to start making graphics on my phone,
Right. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just agreeing.
It's like yes to everything. I'd agree. I'd say you have no idea how easy it is to learn, and what you guys are people who are like ready and willing to teach people through things, and that's one of my favorite feedback that I hear about our team is like, yeah, they taught me so much. When people get around us, whether that's on a Sunday, teach people how to do production stuff, or worship team, or how to sing, how to lead on a stage. Like church is a real safe place to do that. Mm-hmm. And even on the creative team, we have people who are like, hey, I just want to come in and learn, a day a week or 2 days a week. Or we've had 50-year-olds tell us they want to do that. We've had 19-year-olds tell us they want to do that. And as we're always down to help people learn the things that we know and the things that people have taught us in whatever aspect that is, whether that's songwriting or playing guitar or how to run ProPresenter or what a MIDI cue is or how to run a live stream, right? Or how to talk on a stage or what Command J does. We'll talk about that later. But another saying that I love is people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can accomplish in 5.
Yeah.
And so maybe you have a dream to like start playing the piano or something, like some creative outlet. I've always wanted to paint, or I've always wanted to, I don't know, start a business, and I've always wanted to build websites or whatever that is. Like, start today, and in 5 years, just through your consistent effort and like learning and collaboration and asking people for feedback and your risk taking, in 5 years, who knows where it could take you, and the expression of it. You think about George W. Bush, the former president. That's why I said painting, because after his presidency, he's like, well, what do I do now? So he started painting watercolors of wounded vets and people he'd met along the way. And now, his paintings are real art, and that's true for the President of the United States. That's true for the X-Church creative team, and that's true for every single person watching on the other side of this camera or listening to this podcast, wherever you're listening to, is that there's creativity inside of you. Yep. It's never too late to start. Create a great culture on your teams. Be open to feedback. Ask for it before somebody gives it to you. Invite it, because that's how you create excellence and innovation. We just want to thank just all of the people of our church for believing in a creative team that can share the message of Jesus in the way that we do. There's not many churches that have creative teams, and to have a church that believes in us like that, and to have Pastor Trey and Pastor Tim and Jenny and Pastor Russ, and the elders of the church believe in us like that, it means the world, and we hope that it's affected your life in some way. And this podcast is an overflow of that. So if you could just send us your questions at podcast@thex.church. If you can like these episodes, share the crap out of them. That helps us so much get the word out and have conversations like these. We hope they're helpful. We love you, and we'll see you next week.